I want everybody to be great. Be great, feel great. Let us unlock the greatness within us. I'm Antonio Chris Palacios, Masters Track and Field Champion, long jump world record holder. And today, I want to get you all involved in this presentation right from the start. So if I could please get you all to help me count out this long jump world record. Folks are always asking me, how far can you jump? So let's see now. If I take off about right here, and these puppies about a foot apiece, so I'm going to count this out. Here we go. Help me out now. 1, 2, that's it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, still going. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, still going. 15, 16, 17, almost there. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 feet. Or just under 23 feet. 6.98 in meters. Men's Masters Indoor Long Jump record. Age group 45 to 49. What you think, folks? Not too bad for an older guy. Now, if you want to see what this jump looks like, you can check it out on my website at www.acpspeaks.com. All right, let's get started here. Of course, I want to thank you for helping me count that out. Also want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you a vision of a world, a beautiful world, made possible by a kind of beauty that lives in us all. And in that beauty is a confidence, a power, a greatness, a passion, a purpose that this world needs from you. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like to speak to you about today is something that I call the why of passion. Particularly the why, what drives me to strive for greatness in whatever it is I do. Be it track, as a speaker, educator, whatever. Now folks, I must tell you, this why of passion is going to be a little bit different for each of us. But you have to find it. You have to seek it out. I want to speak to you here about a piece of that passion. Well, there's a whole lot of me, but definitely a part of us all. You see, for me, as far back as I can remember, it's been like a sixth sense of something where I just know, and I mean know, that there is so much more than we can ever imagine that's inside of us, that's meant for the world, needed for the world. Today, not tomorrow. Let us start greatness today. And my why of passion is a passion for people. I want to get a little more participation here again. I'd like to know now with a show of hands, how many of you out there have heard of the doomsday clock? And I'm not talking about the Mayan calendar 2012 end of the world thing that didn't happen, or any other biblical prophecy like that. Anybody out there? The doomsday clock? Okay, for those who don't know what it is, let me give you a little idea what it's about. The doomsday clock is a symbolic clock face maintained since 1947 by the board of directors of the Bulletin of the Atomic Sciences at the University of Chicago. It uses the analogy of the human race being at a time that is minutes to midnight, where midnight represents destruction by nuclear war. The number of minutes before midnight, a measure of the degree of nuclear, environmental, and technological threat, is updated periodically. The clock is currently set to 3 minutes to midnight, having been advanced on January 22nd, 2015. Now, of course, the doomsday clock is not a true indicator or predictor of a nuclear holocaust, just a creative way for these scientists to draw the world's attention to the dangers of nuclear weapons. But my point to you is this. You see, for years, some of mankind's greatest minds and thinkers, from Benjamin Franklin to Albert Einstein, have said that our technology has far surpassed our sociology, our psychology, and yes, our spirituality. And what I want to say to you is this. Team humanity, the Mother Teresas, the Gandhis, you, me, all of us, let us come together in our everyday lives as students, workers, fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters. Come together and assume the responsibility for a better world by tapping into that greatness within you. And however you so choose to express it. Greatness as a parent, in your careers, your relationships, your friendships. You can be a great friend. That'll make the world better. Greatness in your personal improvement plans. And all I'm asking here is maybe try doing it under the title Humanity. This imbalance of our technology versus our humanity is also a part of the why of what drives me. It is because of this imbalance in our world, ladies and gentlemen, why we cannot wait to be great. Let us start today, not tomorrow, developing our minds and understanding our hearts. The rest will follow. I want to speak to you now about someone whose perspectives and philosophies on the sport of track and field has had a major impact on me. Someone strange enough, as you may see shortly here, you could even say played a role in my very existence. You see, in 1959, the Pan American Games, an Olympic-type sporting event for countries in the Western Hemisphere, was held in Chicago. There, my father, who was competing in the high jump, met for the first time the legendary University of Chicago track and field coach, Ted Hayden. Coach Hayden later went on to sponsor my dad to come to the United States and compete for his UCTC track club. Then Mom met Dad at the University of Chicago event, and you all know how it goes from there. First love, marriage, then actually my big brother, and then finally me in the baby carriage. Now, I did get a chance to speak with Coach Hayden when I was a teenager, and I want to say this to you. One of the biggest reasons I still run track and field today, well into my 40s, about to be 50, about a year away, is because of something that I learned from him. You see, Coach Hayden believed that the sport of track and field, if done right, could make better human beings. Coach Ted Hayden passed away the summer I turned 19 at the age of 73, leaving a legacy of human excellence for others to follow. I'm going to hit the fast forward button on this story to a little over a decade after that, where I was offered the position of assistant track and field coach at, you guessed it, the University of Chicago. Of course, I honorably accepted the job, but here's the picture I want to paint for you. I'm in my second season. I huddle all my athletes together. It's a couple of days before the big conference championship meet. Time for me to get them pumped up, get their competitive juices flowing, get them ready to throw down at the big meet. Now, folks, I want you to keep something in mind. I have a unique bunch of athletes here, the highly intellectual professor types. So your typical win one for the Gipper job type speech, well, I didn't think it was going to get it done. So the talk I came up with, I like to call the atomic love speech. And it went a little something like this. On this campus, some 50 years ago and less than 50 yards from where you guys practice every day, the world's first nuclear chain reaction was achieved. A key stepping stone in building the first atomic bomb. Now, it won't be atomic power that will bring us a conference championship, but it will be because of a force, a power that is at the heart of what it takes to be your best in the sport of track and field. You see, at the center of every great personal, pure achievement in the sport of track and field lies the human spirit. Now, I don't have a PhD and I'm not some intellectual academic elite. I'm none of those things. I tell you what I do have, though. I have these beliefs. I have a belief in greatness. But most importantly, I believe in all of you. About 50 years ago, Ted Hayden began coaching track and field for this university. Hayden's greatest gift as a coach was creating an atmosphere where his athletes could use the sport of track and field as a means of becoming better human beings. So, what am I trying to say to you guys about this weekend's conference championship meet? I'm saying this: compete with a fire that lies deep, deep, deep within yourself. And let the world know that atomic energy is not the most powerful force radiating from this canvas. Bring me in close, guys. I really want you to hear this last one. The human spirit, a power, a force, a love. Championship on 3, y'all. 1, 2, 3, championship. I tell you what, folks, they competed their butts off. I was so proud of them. And you know, it may have taken 20 years, not since the days of Coach Ted Hayden, 2 decades. But let me tell you something. That weekend, we won that conference championship. I want to give a big shout out to the head coach back then and the current head coach at the University of Chicago, Chris Hall, who's building a wonderful legacy at the university himself. But getting back to Coach Ted Hayden, I think there's a bit of irony in him showing up at the university with this track for a better mankind philosophy just around the same time and just around the corner from where these UFC scientists were cooking up their atomic bomb Manhattan Project thing. I'd like to share with you now a quote from Ted Kennedy's 1961 inaugural address. That's the "Ask not what your country can do for you" speech. Well, early on in his address, he says the following: "The world is very different now, for man holds in his mortal hands the power to abolish all forms of human property and all forms of human." He then goes on to say, concerning the one-time Soviet Union and the United States, "Let both sides seek to invoke the wonders of science instead of its terrors." Of course, Kennedy's speech was made in a very different time with a much different perspective of the effect that technology and science have on society. Today's perspective of impact has become much more of a cultural reshaping phenomenon socially when you start talking about cell phones, the internet, just so many things that I couldn't have dreamed of when I was a kid. Which brings me to what I'd like to talk to you about next. Something that I call virtual clarity. All right. Virtual clarity is something that I came up with when trying to answer this question. Is technology bringing us closer as a people, or disconnecting us from each other with the illusion of closeness? So in other words, what is the true and clear picture of the effect of all these things like social network and the internet as a whole? How are all these advancements affecting who we are and who we are becoming? Let me tell you something though, folks. It is driving the sociologists crazy. They can't keep up. I was in a grocery store not too long ago, and this kid couldn't have been no more than 6, 7 tops. And he says to his mother, "Mommy, I need a cell phone. All my friends got it." So tell me how, said scientist, factors in the reshaping of our society based off a kid that young, needing, not wanting, said cell phone. Is this a good thing? Bad thing for us? What is the clear picture of us in the world we live in today? I'd like to tell you something about myself now. I watch a lot of movies. Blu-ray, DVD, Netflix, the theater, doesn't matter to me. Hey, I'm still happy with my VCR. Love my movies. Now the reason why I'm telling you this, I just want to give you a heads up so you know why you see me quoting from movies and things like that. And so, in the Carl Sagan movie, Contact, starring Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey's character, Father Palmer Josh, says the following. The question that I'm asking is this: are we happier as a human race? Is the world fundamentally a better place because of science and technology? We shop at home, we surf the web, but at the same time we feel emptier, lonelier, and more cut off from each other than at any time in human history. Well, look, I'm not saying he's right here. I don't know whether he is or not, but I do think what the character of Father Palmer Josh says here does give you pause to think that these technological changes can affect the way we go about our everyday lives, and that these changes can shape how we feel about ourselves, but even more so how we feel when we relate to others. Now, I myself tend to be quite a bit more optimistic about where our humanity will lead our technology into the future. You see, when I was a kid, I used to watch this cartoon about this family in the future. How many of you have heard of the Jetsons cartoon? Okay, hopefully I'm not the only one. Let's see, it went, meet George Jetson, his boy Elroy, daughter Judy, Jane is what? No, yeah, there was a dog. This dog can talk and bark at the same time. If you haven't seen the Jetsons, you can check them all out on YouTube, speaking of technology. Now, the Jetsons, that was my idea of technology in the future. Man, forget the information highway, I'm talking the superhighway. Flying cars, vacation trips on the moon and Mars. Ah, the future. But instead, what I got? Facebook, Twitter. Another one of my favorite TV shows growing up was from the legendary producer Gene Roddenberry and his Star Trek. Believe it or not, when I'm out there running and jumping, trying to break Masters track and field records, I'll have Star Trek on the brain. Really, that whole thing about vision and the future. When I'm coming down that long jump runway, preparing to launch myself off into that sand pit, I'll be thinking like, space, the final frontier. These are the goals of motivational speaker Antonio Chris Palacios. His lifelong mission to explore the greatness of humanity, to seek out a better you, a better world, to boldly go where no one has gone before. At least for my age, anyway. Here's the thing about the whole Star Trek vision. I guess I should say in honor of the late, great Leonard Nimoy, that I find fascinating. And that is, even today when I see people talking on their cell phones, I can't help but think of Captain Kirk and Spock and their communicator. I mean, all of those science fiction gadgets that came along with the Star Trek vision. The transporter, the communicator, the phaser, Scotty, and his warp speed. I thought all those technological things were wonderful. But for me, the most powerful visionary aspect of that TV show, all those TV shows, that whole series of movies, was of a social nature. You see, the world of Star Trek was a world of one united human race. And look, folks, here's the point I want to make about this whole virtual clarity thing. Humanity, technology, this should not be a question of which comes first, like the chicken or the egg. See, to me, when you pull back the curtain on all these things, be it cell phones, the internet, all that music crammed into one little tiny spot for you to listen to, enjoy, icons. Behind all of that, well, it's just us. You and me, flesh and blood, hopes and dreams, love, and be loved. Convenience, communication, attention, exposure, connecting with people from all over the world. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure all these fascinating things are a byproduct of our rapidly growing virtual society. But tell me this, are these the things that really make our world better? Make you better? What do you think? I say every morning when you wake up, and every night before you go to bed, if you look into the mirror, what you'll see staring right back at you is the world. Your world, my world. And let me tell you something. There is nothing high-tech about that. A better you, a better world. One thing I've known by being born an artist, and that is sometimes you have to look at things differently. Look at the world differently. From this angle, that angle, look over it, under it, turn it upside down. I mean, really check it out. You might find something new. Maybe even an improved view of the world, of yourself. But here's the thing, folks. The obvious is not always right, or the clear, true picture of what is, or what can be. I want to give you a little example of that. Or a little demonstration for your ear. What would it feel like to wake up in a humanity first world? Question mark. What would it feel like to wake up in a humanity first world? The obvious for most people when they first see me writing upside down is that I'm a big cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. For me, writing upside down was just an easy way for a left-handed person like myself to write in a right-handed world. Bear with me now, allow me to articulate my point here. Remember back in the day when you first learned how to write, you got that number 2 pencil. Because you make a lot of mistakes, got to erase, redo stuff over. And then you got the notebook paper with the lines going across the page and the one red line going down the side to tell you which direction to write in. So if you're right-handed, this just all works out fine. You can just ride and flow, saying everything as you go. Now, on the other hand, so to speak, what most left-handed people have to do when they first learn how to write, they sort of curl their hand in a way so they can just see what they're writing. And 2 other things here. 1, you can't really see what you just wrote or previously wrote because your hand's in the way. And 2, if you're writing a lot with a lead pencil, you'll get these smudges on the back of your hand from dragging your hand over what you just wrote. Now, if you're left-handed, you know what I'm talking about. Got any lefties out there? Okay. Always with things like this going against the grain, there's a catch-22. And for me, it was years later when I first went off to college to become an elementary school teacher. Think about it. Come student teaching time, I got that blackboard. I just can't turn that thing upside down. So I got my assignments written on the board upside down and backwards. Yeah, coming into the room, you got 20 or so little kids with their heads cocked to the side, just trying to figure out the homework problem. Didn't work, didn't work, didn't work. All right. Here's how I'm relating this upside-down perspective on being a better you for a better world. See, it's obvious if our humanity, society, whatever you want to call it, doesn't catch up with our technology, sure, we absolutely can destroy ourselves. And yes, this is certainly a reason for us to be motivated to be better. Because it's only natural for human beings to want to survive. But it's also natural for us to want to thrive. Which is why I want to discuss with you now this motivational concept I have of being your best for this feeling of greatness I like to call a beautiful reality of a world. It's a feeling or world that legendary songwriter and Beatle, John Lennon, asked of us to imagine, in one of his songs, a world with no need for hunger, a world for all of us to share. But before I get into this story, I'd like to share with you about this feeling of a beautiful reality. We've come to the first of two disclaimers I'll have for you in this presentation. Disclaimer number one is the utopia disclaimer, meaning that I'm not someone fighting for the perfect society. We're not robots, we're human beings, ever growing, ever changing. Also, I'm not someone part of an organization out to save the planet, the world, trees, or anything else like that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, just not me. Like to say I'm one loving a person at a time kind of guy. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, this next story of mine deals with a very young child. And I need to let you know first that there's a dark side to it. Also, I grew up in a neighborhood where we had this saying, keeping it real, meaning tell it like it is. And keeping it real about the society we live in, folks, there are some very bad things about it. But if there is one thing that I've noticed about greatness, and that is it tends to rise like the phoenix from bad stuff, on to achieve wonderful things for the light of the world. All right, let's see. When I was about 11, 12 years old, I had this babysitter, Miss Brown, a beautiful person. I don't think I could ever thank her enough for helping make me a better human being. Now, I need to let you know something about myself back then. From about the age of 5, I wanted to be a doctor. And not just any kind of doctor. I wanted to be a kid's doctor. See, I thought that being a doctor was the best way to help people. Well, I thought kids were the best kinds of people. Now, at the time, Ms. Brown was also sitting about 1 or 2 infants. And I wanted to know everything that I could about how to take care of babies. I wanted to know how to hold them properly, how to feed them. Yes, I even wanted to know how to change diapers. Just really wanted to be ready for my future job as a pediatrician. Now, Ms. Brown had never seen a little boy like me. She thought it was different, but beautiful. So she helped me out. She taught me stuff, let me work with the other kids. I pretty much became her little helper, and I loved every minute of it. And then one day, there was this little infant girl brought to Miss Brown to sit, take care of. And she wasn't like any of the other kids or babies that were there. She wasn't old enough to talk yet, but she was different in the fact that she didn't smile, she didn't laugh. I don't even recall her crying much, if at all. She wasn't sad, she would just look at you, stare. It was as if it was just a baby there, not a person with a personality or anything. Now, I won't use her real name here, but for the story's sake, let's just call her Diana. Well, one day I overheard Ms. Brown and some of the other adults talking about what had happened to Diana. Now, of course, they wouldn't want me to hear what they were saying, but I was being nosy. I was curious. Just really wanted to understand what had happened to little Diana. Now, folks, what I heard, I had already known. That things like that can happen to a child. Abuse. But what I didn't know was that things like that can happen to a child so young. I mean, a baby. And I still don't understand it. And let me say this to you. We don't need anything near a perfect society for this kind of group. And I mean this kind of abuse to vanish from our world today. And that's just me keeping it real with you. And so, from darkness to light. I remember being so happy when I got out of school at 3 o'clock to go stay with Miss Brown. Because I love working with those kids. I talk to them, tell them about my little day, ask them about their day. Talk to them just like I'm talking to you. No baby talk to me. And they'd answer back, even if they couldn't talk yet. Babies can communicate with their eyes, smiles, and cries. I read to them. You know, you got to do that, even when they're that young and you don't think that they understand. Well, with Diana, I pretty much would do the same thing. And the only thing that I did differently with her is just spend a little bit more time with her. Just wanted that little girl to know that I was thankful that she was here, honored to help take care of her. Just really wanted her to know that no matter what, that there was love for her in this world. It was probably no more than a couple of weeks when I first noticed a change in Diana's demeanor or behavior. Life came back into her eyes, her soul. And boy, let me tell you, when she smiled, inside I was long jumping, triple jumping, turning cartwheels, you name it. But here's the thing though, guys. I was determined not to let her know what I was thinking. I was too afraid. I said to myself, just keep doing what you've been doing. Don't do anything different. Because I didn't want to shock her, because she was shocking me. I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't say anything about it to anybody. I didn't want to do anything that would stop this amazing transformation from happening to this little baby girl. Well, soon after that, Miss Brown, everybody noticed this dramatic and beautiful change in Diana. It was truly one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had in my life, and certainly that smile of hers has become a part of my passion, my calling in life. I don't know whatever became that beautiful little girl. That whole experience with Diana lasted no more than a couple of months. But my reason behind that story to you today is this. I had a number of people come up to me and ask me, what does it feel like to set a world record? Well, it kind of feels like Diana's smile. And that brings me back to our upside down question here. What would it feel like to wake up in a humanity first world? And again, I would imagine it would feel like little Diana's smile, a beautiful reality, a smile of greatness. Now, as I said to you earlier, I'm no sociology scientist or anything, so I can't tell you how to scientifically bring about such a world. However, I would like to read you something from someone who was such a scientist. Does it seem to you unreasonable to estimate that the present efficiency of society is of the order of a fraction of 1%? What is needed is a new conception of man compatible with our scientific knowledge. From the novel Walden 2 by the famous American behavioral scientist B.F. Skinner. So I believe that when we're striving, working, and then achieve greatness, we are experiencing this new conception of what we all can be as a whole. When we experience greatness, at that moment we kind of metamorphosize into this highly realized potentiality of humanity. And so, now, my good people, tell me this. What is the how of greatness? Ladies and gentlemen, get your notepads and pens ready, because I'm about to go into my ABCs of greatness, or the ABCs of what the world needs from you. But before I get into that, we come to the second disclaimer in my presentation to you today. Disclaimer number 2 is the no proof disclaimer, meaning that what I'm about to share with you about you and you and you, all of you, is that I got no proof to back up anything that I'm about to say here. Haven't done any research, got no quotes, graphs, or anything like that. No facts of any kind whatsoever. What I got is from my heart, in my soul, what I believe, what I know. And what I know is what I said to you in the very beginning of this speech. And that is that each and every one of you has got this greatness within you. And I'm talking earth-shaking to the moon, change the world kind of greatness. Go ahead, say amen if you want. Nothing wrong with a little church up here. When I was in grade school, we used to start our day off with a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag. So right now, I'd like everyone out there to take a pledge of greatness. Now look, not asking you to put your hand on your heart, but I am asking you to put some heart into it. Everyone, please, repeat after me. I am more valuable than gold. am stronger than I am, and as beautiful as a sunset. Now, turn to the person next to you, left or right, doesn't matter, and say to them, I am the world. We are the future. And I am the greatest thing this universe has to offer. That's what I'm talking about with greatness today, not tomorrow. Now, shake that person's hand and seal the deal. And so, the A in my ABCs of greatness is a belief of faith in thyself. Whether you know what, when, why, or how, know that there is greatness within you and that the world is waiting for it to show itself. Folks, there's one thing that I had to learn the hard way, striving and working to achieve greatness every year, and yes, decade after decade. What can I say? I'm hard-headed. Ask my mom. What I learned is this, that worth is greater than work. Worth is in self-worth, belief, faith, to know that this greatness is within you. Because I'll tell you something, you can work and work and work, but if you don't believe, come on, say it with me, y'all. Believe, yes, ladies and gentlemen, makes it hard to achieve. Here are 4 factors of achieving goals which I use to help me. Number 1, objective, the goal itself. Number 2, you, the person striving to attain the goal. 3, actions, efforts made to obtain the goal. And 4, positioning, the situation you place yourself in order to achieve the goal. Of these 4 factors, you and your objective are the most important. Letter B in my ABCs of greatness would be, so to speak, the power of a youthful spirit. I was 18 years old when I first went to work for a small upstart children's museum in downtown Chicago. I have so many wonderful stories I can share with you about my early days at the museum. But I come up with one I want to tell you here. It had to do with this exhibit we had called Touchy Business. And it was all about giving little kids the opportunity to explore their sense of touch. Now, if you can just imagine these large cubes that little kids could fit in that were connected, where they would crawl through and explore the different textures that each cube represented. One cube would be rough with things like astroturf in it. Another would be soft or fluffy with things like stuffed bears and pillows and so on. Now, on the outside of the tunnels was this large play-stuffed kangaroo animal, where the little kids could reach inside its pouch and pull out these items that correlated to a particular texture that a cube represented. It was kind of a treasure hunt kind of thing. Well, one weekend I was working with this toddler, 12, 13 months maybe, and at that age they're so excited to learn as much about the world as they possibly can. So we pull out this hairbrush, and I'm like, can you go find a little room that's rough like this? The little boy heads off into the tunnels. I'm standing there talking, hanging out with his parents. Next thing you know, he comes running out of the tunnels, takes my hand with the hairbrush, looks at me with those big old wide eyes, and goes, rough, rough. I look at his parents look at me, and we're like, wow, because we knew he didn't have that word in his vocabulary and that understanding when he got to the museum. I know it seems so simple, but it was truly a magical moment. And ladies and gentlemen, I say to you, it is in the essence of wonderment and the power of discovery which I believe is a key to unlocking that greatness within us. Today, the Children's Museum is located at Navy Pier and is the 4th most visited museum in all of Chicago. But here's the point I want to make to you here. I understand how easy it is with the way our society is set up for us to get so caught up in all these things you have to do, particularly when you become an adult. Pay this, pay that, bills, bills, bills. All these things you got to do. More this, more that. Invest, invest, invest. Grown people, you know what I'm talking about. However, I'd like to make it clear to you, I'm not saying be irresponsible. Unfortunately, I know far too well the outcome of that story. Because life will come back and bite you where you don't want to be big. What I am saying to you is this. Let us not get so caught up in that daily grind it out, bulldozing over aspect of life that we lose touch with that youthful magic of exploring this powerful connection or relationship between the universe and you. Here's a quote on this from someone a bit more intellectual than I. This is from Albert Einstein. People like you and I, though mortal of course, like everyone else, don't grow old, no matter how long we live. What I mean is that we never cease to stand like curious children before the mystery into which we were born. My first track meet I had, I was a little boy, was in the Arco Jesse Owens National Youth Track and Field Games. Now, if there was ever someone I aspired to grow up and be like, it was the great Olympian Jesse Owens. And I want to say this to you. As great as it was, him winning 4 gold medals in the 1936 Berlin Olympic Games, and symbolically teaching Hitler that the only superior race was the one race, the human race. As great as that was, though, for me, the thing about Jesse Owens that inspired me the most was his amazing ability as a motivational speaker. Boy, let me tell you, after hearing Jesse Owens speak, you felt like no dream was too big or impossible to achieve. Now, folks, I have always been a fierce or very competitive person when it comes to track and field. And I freely admit that I tend to be a bit hard on myself, particularly when, well, I don't win. So when that first Jesse Owens meet, I made it to the Chicago Citywide Finals of the boys 10 and 11-year-old long jump. Took second place. When I went up to the Olympic-style podium to receive my medal, the one and only Jesse Owens placed the silver medal around my neck. Then as I was stepping down from the podium, Mr. Owens pulled me aside. I guess he could tell, how should I say this, that I was a little bit overly disappointed about not winning. Pouting. And he said to me, "Son, do your best. Be your best. And regardless of the outcome, you will always win." And so, letter C in my ABCs of greatness is simply put, to be your best. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, when you're out there doing your thing for greatness, believe. Because I must tell you, it won't always be fun or easy. In fact, most times it will be hard and demanding. There'll be times when you want to give up. Don't. Believe. Times when it seems like it's all too much for you to handle. Believe. When you're down on your luck and you feel like you and life has done you wrong, don't give up. Because I know how hard it can get. Just don't give up. Continue to believe. And listen to that voice in your soul that tells you even the impossible is possible. Awaken to new thoughts. Thoughts of fulfilling that greatness within you. Actions that harness the best of you and take advantage of the opportunities that the universe bestows upon you. Don't give up. When you're out there putting in work for greatness, believe it or not, you'll have doubters. Yes, folks telling you what you can't do. Can't do this, you can't do that. You'll hear it. Heard it all my life. You're too old for this. You're too young. are humanity. Not me, not one person, one woman, one man. We're all connected. And you know what? This is the universe. And I know. Who am I to say these things to you? Well, let's see. I'm an almost 50-year-old guy from 6116 South Cottage Grove, the ghetto, hood. I'm a 40-year-old man that kept running and training, not having a clue of how or why would ever get me in front of you today. But you know what? Didn't give up. Continue to believe. And here I am, trying to do what little great that I can. Ladies and gentlemen, today I speak to you to charge you. Charge you to answer a world that calls to you to be your best. I charge you to awaken to the truth of the leader that lives in you, to take action. You have the power in you to make a difference in the world, just by making a difference in your own lives. Each of us unleashing our greatness upon the world, an unstoppable force, a real chance to make the world a better place. Let us start today, not tomorrow. Answer the call. Trust me, y'all, it won't cost you any minutes. It's a toll-free call. Pick it up today. Make up your mind to right this very moment to commit to greatness. For you, for a better world. And why? Because we can't wait to be great. Full of beautiful reality awaits. I'm Antonio Chris Palacios, and as always, a better you, a better world, a call to action. Thank you all so very much for your time, and God bless. Goodbye now.